Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pam. Today, my topic is about unsupervised workflow instruction from first-person video in mechanical assembly. But to help you capture easily my talk, so this is my agenda. First motivation, and then we're going to curve problem, and then go through some state-of-the-art solutions, and then go to my approach and experiment result, and finally future works. First of all, motivations. As we may know, today manufacturing is facing the inflection point. It is moving from mass production to mass customizations, and it's also shifting business focus from production to service delivery. The mass customizations is more various and increased complexities in the processing. Industrials, maintenance service, and examples, the technicians usually spend a lot of effort to get familiar with using some new tool and new processes. And actually, it's also a problem in construction side and production line also. To solve that problem, so the decision like AR-based maintenance assistant is the solution for this, but it should give the right instruction at the right time. In recent years, many industrial AR applications have been proposed for maintenance and assembly process, but they are mainly used for the visualization, documentation, and remote communication only. And these industrial AI applications is not intelligent enough to understand and react to actual situations. And the other approach to solve the problem that the AI developers have to manually describe the workflow script with content operation is conducted in each step of working. And also, the developer must manually define the context in the working step, and also give the AI content for each context corresponding. Besides that, there's a big workflow that the developer needs to care. That's about the pre-label data, because the intelligent industrial AI application, it needs to have intelligence to understand the scene, that means recognize objects and also the gestures from the user. So the labeling data is also working both here. See, when we want to develop the application, we need to take care of two problems: workflow scripting and labeling the data. This is a big problem because it will limit the flexibility of the application for applied to general purposes in many industrial aspects. So to remove these bottlenecks, we need to think to make it automatically run and have the AR developer to reduce time. And also with this, it can make the AR application in the industries can be scalable in the future, can apply for many areas in the industry. So, but nowadays, there are not full solution for solve these bottlenecks. Just somehow settle some part of the bottlenecks. The first approach is workflow discovery. In this approach, the author try to propose a system that can detect the working step in the workflow. And with each working step, the author doesn't mention about the information in each working step. They just read things manually, and that's just so one bottleneck that's working script only, but not empowering information. So the second approach is wearable connected system. This complement the first one, workflow discovery, by give information automatically to each working step, but it requires redefine working step and relabel training data. It still have a big problem with the bottlenecks in the nowadays solutions. So to solve unsolved problem. So we propose the unsupervised semantic workflow instruction. It contains three main steps: the unsupervised object recognitions, gesture, inference, and working step separations. The first step is unsupervised object recognition. Because this is object recognition model, so it's just recognize objects. Therefore, in interactive environments, it needs to extract and get rid of hand reason. So we use color-based hand detections and to extract the hand reason out of the scene, like the red reason there, and the remaining reason is only contain the objects. So we go to the next step. It's the object-like reason detections. This is the model that is responsible for propose as many as possible the object-like reasons. What object-like reason? The object-like reasons is the object that contain the high probability of containing an object. So we use as detection and control instruction for doing this job. And these models mainly propose a new word or a new object type, the dictionaries of objects for our system. So we go to the next two models is the object detections and object tracking because object detection task is required data features, we can get the data features of a non-object dictionaries of objects. But if the dictionary of objects is empty, because if this birth frame, so the dictionary of objects will be empty, so we can get information from object-like reason detections. We believe that objects, and then we feed data features to the object detection to search and find the object in the scene. And we also use abstract tracking because in some cases, in the like assembly process, the occlusions and also moving fast objects during working of the worker employee will be a big problem of object detection. So object tracking here to complement the object detection to give more data to the object type in dictionaries of objects. Like you see there are two boxes. With these two boxes, object detection, result, and object tracking, we can somehow refine the result to get the better recognized reasons of the objects. So next we go to gesture inference and working step separation. Here we just care about gesture inference because we realize that the assembly process has some simple tasks, simple gesture activities of the worker employees. So before doing some like gesture inference, we need to define some like basic event, like the simple A. You see the product state change. It's like the figure C and figure E that the user plug in some screw in front of the containers of assembled products. So the product state change means the assembled products will have change in appearance in some time, in specific time. And the simple B event, that means hand object interaction, that means the event happens when the hand reasons overlap the assembled product reasons. So we call this the event and the object interactions. And the final one is the simple A D event, the camera will change, like a C and D figure when the users change the view from assembled product to the material place to take some materials or tool to plug in the assembled product. So we go to the gesture inference here. We get several operations can be inferred from the sequence of event. So we got the A and B. So we get plugging A means there's product exchange and hand object interaction. That means the users will plug some things. And the second is the non-product state not change, and there's hand object interaction. That means the user just changing the both of the assembled products for looking, examining some things. And the third one is that not of both of the event, so the user will not do anything, they will call it idle state. And the final one is like change view of users, like it can imply about searching activity. So the working state separation here that we define that is the period of time that happens to product state change. That means when the product agent, we define a simple step that define a basic step of working. So that's the working step separations. And go to experimental sessions. So first we go to set up. First, because we don't go not yet go to the industry, real industry or factory, so we use the kit toys for try in our system. So this is two samples we pick. The left one is friend models and the right one is handbag models. And we define working step for each model to have the experimenting, follow, and assemble products. In the left side, friend model is contain 25 steps, and in the right model is contain 16 steps. And now we go to the object recognition result. But first, we need to find out some pictorial definition. Here we use IOUs, intersection of unions, threshold value. Here we use 3, 0.5, 0.7, and 0.9. The IOU means for example, IOU is equal to 0.5. It means that the evaluators will accept the recognized objects and the recognized reasons suggested by the system correctly if the recognized reasons overlap at least 50% of the real object reasons. So it's the same with 0.7 and 0.9. And we go to another parameters definition. We care about the alpha parameters because when the alpha parameters is responsible for the trade-off between the object detection reason and object tracking reason. So to make the final result like this, we want to find the computer only without any outdoor, outside reasons. So we use alpha, the trade-off of this detection and tracking reason to find this. And this is my result in object recognition models. Each chassis corresponds to one IOU criteria, and we use the precision recon curve to represent the proposal powers of recognition models. And here we figure out that with alpha is equal to 0.6, on the curve, on the chart, we will have the high area under the curve. So that means that by robust, the algorithm is at the best performance with the alpha is equal to 0.6. That means our system with the dataset with test on is believed on object tracking more than object detections. So because we figure out that when doing the experimental intent to use the object parts, and also there's much occlusion during the working process. So it had the object tracking makes something better compared to object detection because it can keep track by detection of movement of cameras also. And next about working step separations. Here, the left side drafts of a sample reference, the one in friend models, and the right side is the handbag models. See, the on average is 80%. In accuracy is not the best, but it's okay. The problem here, there's still working step that below the 60% is the problem comes from the light illuminations, because here we use hand detections, color-based hand detections, so it impacted a lot by the illuminations. So sometimes it cannot detect the hand, so it's very hard to infer the gestures and also infer the operation in the working step. So it's very hard for the system to define, okay, this is working step or not. So it makes the system confuse a lot here. So in the future, we try to fix this by propose some new sensor to the hand of the worker to improve the result. So go to the future work here. As I mentioned, that we will use the motion sensor for hand. to change the gesture inference or gesture recognition. It will help overcome some light illumination because it reduces the dependency of our algorithms on the gesture, on the hand detections, and we try to expand our work to workflow modeling because when we have information about the working state, we can be confident that we can model the workflow in the future with the workflow model, so we can ultimately optimize the workflow for the factory also, and this will make a big profit to the industry. And also, we aim to develop AI cognitive system, which will be the best way to show what the usefulness of the workflow information we extract from the video. So to summarize all, this is our contributions and unsupervised object recognitions, working state information instructions, and we have some implementation related to gesture inference because of hand detections, and the future was like about gesture recognition, workflow modeling, and AI cognitive assistant development. Thank you.